Engineers Day is celebrated annually on September 15th to commemorate the birth anniversary of one of India's finest engineers, Mr. Visvesvaraya, formerly known as Sir MB. He was awarded Bharat Ratna, India's highest civilian award in 1955, to contribute his contributions in the field of engineering. A warm welcome to everyone present here. I am Varsha from second year CACD. I am glad in hosting this wonderful webinar. Without no delay, I would like to call Syed Abdahid from second year CAC department to welcome us all. Handing over to Syed.
Good evening to one and all present here. For today's webinar, Industries Talk, which is exclusive for CSE students. On this auspicious occasion, myself, Syed Abdair of CSE Department of PSNA College of Engineering and Technology. I would express my gratitude of selecting to welcome you all. The Computer Science and Engineering Department is privileged to guide the students beyond their classroom lectures through this webinar. The webinar aims in guiding and assessing the students in order to enrich their abilities in future. As this part of this blessed event, I would like to invite you the gathering. First of all, I would like to invite our resource person, Ms. Nandini Saravanan, Product Manager, Yahoo. I welcome you, ma'am. I need to thank our chairperson, Ms. K. Dhanalakshmi, and pro chairman, Mr. R. S. K. Raghuram, and our principal, Dr. D. Vasudevan, for arranging this great opportunity. And I must mention our deep sense invitation to our beloved HOD, Dr. D. Shanti, and our coordinator, Dr. R. Karthikeyan, who organized for the students' benefit. I extend my hearty welcome to our staff members. At last but not least, I record my hearty greeting to all the students, the learners to the gathering once again. I welcome you to all this webinar. Thank you.
Harsha? Varsha, are you there? I think she's having some network glitch. So, so thank you, Syed, for your wonderful welcome address. Now, I will invite our head of the department, Dr. D. Shanti ma'am, to address our students on this auspicious Engineering Day occasion, sorry, Engineers Day occasion. Ma'am, over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kati. A very warm welcome and good morning to resource person, Ms. Nandini, product manager from Yahoo, and organizer Dr. Karthikeyan and his team, faculty members, and my dear students who are all gathered here. Today is very special day, Engineers Day. In our country, this day is celebrated by engineering fraternity on 15th of September every year. The date was selected because it's the birthday of legendary engineer Dr. Visvesvaraya. He is known to be the greatest engineers of all times who has his vision and dedication in the field of engineering made some exceptional contributions to India. So we understood from the word engineer, E for eager, N for non-stop learning, G for genius, I for intelligent, N for nations builder, E for effort maker, and E for excellence, R for rider. A famous quote says, engineering is the professional art of applying science to the optimum conversion of natural resources to the benefit of man. This quote confirms the influencing the role of engineer for the development of the nations. Science is all about knowing, but engineering is about doing. So engineers are those who operate at the interface between science and society. They are the backbones of development and technology. Today, India's most important vision and mission in the areas of space research, defense development, rural development, renewable energies, agriculture, food processing, information and communication technology, education, etc. And for this, there is a need of engineers with a vision and passion for transforming the vision into action, courage to think differently, to comfort the problems, and a lot of unexpected problems are coming out. So the engineers are the right person to solve all those, are to comport and set right the issues in those problems. Okay. So I conclude with my speech with the small quote: "Civil engineer build the world, computer engineer build the magic world, electronics and communication engineer connect the world, electrical engineer are the powers of world, mechanical engineer move the world." So happy Engineers Day to all the engineers. Have a great day, and I appreciate the coordinator and his team for bringing this event, wonderful event, on the day of Engineers Day. Thank you, Dr. Kati. Thank you, your team.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your nice address to our students.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was so nice to hear to you, ma'am. Next, I would like to call Dr. R. Kartikeyan, Webinar Coordinator, Professor from Department of CSE, to deliver his address.
Thank you, Basha. Respected head of the department of CSE department, my dear colleagues, and my dear students, the resource person of this industry talk, Ms. Nandini Saravanan, product manager from Yahoo. So I joined with Syed. Once again, I welcome you, Nandini, for this industry talk on a very wonderful topic on this Auspicious Day, significance of coding skills and social networking in achieving dream offers. So as a coordinator of this industry talk, before I have to say the importance of this webinar. So especially the engineers are playing a vital role in the society. So we are having a lot of professions like doctors or lawyers, whatever it may be, but engineers are having some special. So even though maybe we may think the profession of a doctor is higher than engineer, okay, but when we are feeling some sickness or when we are not feeling well, then only we are going to meet the doctor. When we are having some legal issues, then only we are going to meet the lawyer. But in our day-to-day life, everything, every product what we are using, behind that, there will be certain engineers are playing a role. Even in your day-to-day activities, if you are getting ready to come to college, you are using the water heater for taking bath, okay? You are using the drinking water, the reverse osmosis, RO systems. So behind that water heater, RO, and then when you are coming to college, you are working with a laptop, especially in this virtual, the lockdown, the pandemic situation, we are all depending on the digital world. So behind this digital world, the engineers are there. So as an engineer, definitely behind everything in our day-to-day life, they are playing a vital role. So on this auspicious occasion of Engineers Day, so we are all should be proud to be an engineer. So once again, I jointly with our head of the department, Dr. D. Shanti ma'am. So madam has rightly said the expansion of engineer, okay. So definitely we should be proud to be an engineer, okay. So my best wishes to all future engineers over here. So for this purpose only, we have organized this particular webinar, how to become an efficient engineer in your career. So that we have interacted with our speaker of the day, Ms. Nandini Saravanan. So even though she is busy with with her work activities, she has replied for all my messages. So we have finalized the topic, significance of coding skills and social networking to get an dream offers. So even some students, they're having like, what do you mean by dream offers? But nowadays in the industry, they are coining the term super dream offers. So definitely we have to work towards that. We have to work towards that. So for this purpose, we are inviting the resource person from Yahoo to address our CSE students during this auspicious day. But this Engineers Day actually, fortunately, coincide with this talk. Actually, we planned this talk before that, but maybe due to some some coincide on this auspicious occasion, we are having this webinar. Okay, really, maybe like you people are very much fortunate to have the session by the speaker of the day from Yahoo. Okay. So once again, I welcome Ms. Nandini Saravanan for this wonderful industry talk. You please share your expertise with our students. Thank you. Thank you one and all for giving this opportunity. Over to Varsha.
Thank you, sir. Today, we have our Reverend Resource Person, Ms. Nandini Saravanan, Product Manager at Yahoo, to share her knowledge to us. Let's know a glimpse of her. Ms. Harini from second year CSE department will be helping me in welcoming our Honorable Chief Guest by introducing her. Handing over to Harini.
Can you all see my screen, Varsha?
Yes, Karini, proceed. Proceed.
Yes, Harini.
Yes, your screen is visible.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I feel so delighted to have you all on an illuminating industry talk webinar on the significance of coding skills and social networking in achieving dream offers. This is Harini from second year Computer Science and Engineering Department, and I'm here to introduce to you the guest of the day, Ms. Nandini Saravanan. She has completed her BE in Computer Science and Engineering from the Government College of Technology, Coimbatore, in the year 2019. Ms. Nandini has been an active participant in the coding, tech events, and other co-curricular activities right from the scratch of her college days. And so she was honored with the title and award, Miss Confluence from the Literary and Debating Society of GCT. She has also received the Best Concept Award for her presentation on nanobots to cure HIV/AIDS. Ms. Nandini, along with her crew, has been the finalist of 2 Smart India hackathons. The first one was on automated generation of eligible schemes in 2011, where they created a smart system to aid the rural people in knowing their eligible government schemes. The second project was on rainfall prediction and local weather forecasts for the farmers in the year 2018, which was done by implementing Django and machine learning frameworks. Not only these, she has also developed a website for Tamil Mandram, an inter-college club that helps the students to access the regular updates and events from the club. Even before her graduation in her initial days, she has partly worked as a developer at Zoho Corporation in the site 24/7 team, which works by mentoring the system statistics for efficiency. She is currently working as a product manager at Yahoo, and her role relies on the identity and access management flows. Her part in the company is bringing improvements and new features to improve account security. She also interacts with several stakeholders to deliver their product from ideas to launch. She spends her valuable time in researching numerous streams to bring in new ideas and improve user flows, in turn to derive more users to engage with their company products. Apart from work, she loves to read a lot of books and does other co-curricular activities out of interest. All your diligence is incredibly motivating for us, ma'am. Besides your busy schedule, it is a great privilege to have you today on this amazing event. Thank you for coming, and we are pretty excited to hear from you.
Wow, it was so nice to hear. I am pleased to know about our resource person and I cannot wait to learn from her. Ms. Nandini ma'am, it's our pleasure to have you here. We are awaiting to gain knowledge from you. Ma'am, the stage is all yours.
Hi, thanks a lot. That was an awesome presentation. Thanks, Rathiken, sir, HOD, and the management for organizing this. So, let me just present my screen. Is my screen visible?
Nandini?
Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes,
Yes,
it's
ma'am, your
visible.
screen is visible, ma'am.
Okay, great. Yeah, so before I get started, happy Engineers Day to all of you, and thank you for the awesome introduction. So yeah. So today my topic is about bagging dream offers and social networking. So without further ado, let's get started. Right. So yeah, I think Haran did quite a nice intro about me, more than what I've written here. But yeah, I'll still introduce myself. So I am Nandini Saravanan, and like you already know, I'm a product manager and software engineer from Yahoo. So why am I here today? I'm here to share my journey, my interview experience, in Zoho and Yahoo, and my intern experiences and my industry lessons that I've gained in the past 2.5 years. And I can answer all of your questions in as much detail and as much as as much possible. And how can you guys help me today? Is you can interact with me as much as you can and post your questions in the chat or to Karthikeyan sir or anytime, and I'll answer them. And whatever lessons you gain out of this whole webinar, you can use them as much as possible. So that's how you guys can help me. So yeah, let's go ahead. So since today is Engineers Day, so I got a quote from Sir MB, and he has said that every man who has become great owes his achievement to incessant toil. So by toil, it means working hard, and it fits into our whole agenda for the day. So you have to really work hard to get a good offer, and it has to be incessant and consistent. So yeah, so I'm starting with this quote for the day. Okay, so let's deep dive into our agenda. So what do we have for the day? So quickly, I want to say, like, I have like two parts. One is how you can gain skills and improve your interviewing skills, and the other one is social networking. So the first, okay, let me bring up my laser pointer. Yeah, okay. So the first, this much of the amount is for interview experience, and the last two is for building an online presence and how you can better update your LinkedIn profile. Okay, so first, flashback and my journey. So I'm from a biology background. So when I entered GCD, I was in the computer science department. I had no idea what coding was and what it meant to code. So I didn't go to these computer lessons. They go after school or something. So everything was new to me. So I felt a little inferior to people who already knew, but I had this interest, and so I made that into my passion. And I was thinking, okay, if I put my mind to coding, then I can actually learn it. So how did I learn coding? Was the first thing that I did was, you already know, I participated in Smart India Hackathon. So I knew only HTML and CSS, I think, when I went to SIH 2017. And even that actually helped me a lot. And I learned a lot from the whole experience. So even though you think you might not know a lot to participate in a hackathon, I would recommend fully giving it a try. So go to as many hackathons or as many team-based events or team-based projects as possible. That will help you learn a lot. It has helped me. And the second thing is, I used to often visit Bangalore for DevOps conferences. So these had a lot of companies like Red Hat Linux, Oracle, Google. So many companies used to have these stalls, and in each of these stalls, they used to say what their company is doing, what are the new things that they are building, and all that. So when you go and talk to these people, you gain a network. So in future, if you want a job or something, or if you're interested in the company, you can contact that person. So those conferences have been really helpful in learning a lot of stuff. So I would still advise, and these usually fall on weekends. So you can always try to attend whatever is near your place. And I do know that there's a lot of Google developer conferences that happen in Coimbatore. So even if you want to go somewhere nearby instead of Bangalore, I would still say, attend as many conferences as possible. And yeah, the third thing is workshops. So I think when I was in my second year, I had a lot of free time. Third year and final year, you're like fully on placements, and there's a lot of even portion to learn in third year. So second year was relatively free, and I used to attend a lot of workshops and present a lot of stuff. So I think that's when I presented the nanobots to cure HIV also. I didn't go deep into it, but I still brought up a presentation, did some research, and it was helpful. So when you do such things, so when you go and present and when you attend workshops, you build confidence, your communication skills improve. So in interview, that actually helps you. So I would say try doing that also if something that's interesting to you. And mini projects. Okay, that's the fourth thing. So mini projects is those projects we get at the end of every semester. So one day before we sit and we do it all night. So yeah, don't do it like that. Try to spend 5 to 6 days into it, and that would be a good learning experience for you. And it would be fun to do it with friends also. I know that in virtually it might be totally different, but still I would say try to bring in good mini projects, and these mini projects are the ones you'll put in your resume. So make it very interesting and very different also. Feel free to try new stuff. So another thing was website development. So I think you have clubs in colleges, and we think that we have to join a computer science club or something to learn more about computer science, but that is not the case. You should make sure that whatever club can be benefited by us, we do something. Like for example, so I'm not really great at Tamil and all that. So, but there was still a Tamil Mandram in my college, and I said, you know what, I'll create a website for you. And they had very low participation on events. So I said, I'll create a website, and I'll try to add new stuff into that. And I did learn a lot. I learned how to use Google Translate in websites. I learned how to use the Tamil keyboard and all that, how people can sign up for events. So the whole website development thing, it was a freelancing kind of a thing, but still it was very helpful for me. And so just volunteer to do stuff for like that. Just organize like 5 or 6 folks, and you can say that for CAC association, there's an event coming and we'll build a website, and try to sign up for such events, and that would be a good learning experience. So this is how I developed interest in coding. Like you are not like spontaneously interested in something. You have to do a lot of stuff, and then you become passionate into that. So these are some things that I tried out. So that has been useful to me. And another way that I learned coding was through HackerRank, and writing articles for Free Code Camp, Code Academy. There's a lot of websites like this. There's SkillRag, so much of stuff that even the colleges sponsor. So try to utilize those as much as possible. Take like one step a day, one problem a day, or at least half problem a day, and you'll eventually be better at the end. So that is also very good. And another is courses with DIY. DIY is do-it-yourself projects. So when you sign up for a course in edX or Coursera or any other online platforms, do not just take the course for certification. That's never useful. So what you have to do is take a course, and at the end of the course, there should be some project that you have to submit to get certification. There are certain courses like that. So aim for those courses. So those will kind of, push you to actually do the project, to implement whatever you have learned. So take courses like that and put that in your profile and in your resume. That will give you a really good boost and a good way to achieve dream offers also. Right. So another important thing is, share and inspire. When you're in your initial stage, you have to share your learnings as much as possible. Ask other people what they learned, what was useful, interact with your peers, and kind of build that nice, healthy environment where you can share anything related to, what you do in this computer science field. So I think that has also been really useful to me. I got to know about an Android development course from one of my friend, and I ended up doing that with NCRT, I think. So that was also very good. So yeah, try to share as much as possible. Bring in your friends, and there will be more accountability. So like if both of you are doing something together, the other person will like call you and like, did you do this? Did you do that? So though that will be like reminders for you to do it. So try to bring in more people when you do new stuff. Yeah. So this is a little bit about my journey and how I entered this field. Yeah. So before I go over into more details, I just want to get one thing straight. You have to learn coding the right way. Do not start learning languages and syntax right away. Very, very important thing is to understand the logic behind it. So any algorithm or any logic is way greater than the language or syntax. So that is why even when you enter your labs, right, OOPS lab or something, the first things that lab teachers tell us to do is to write pseudocode and algorithm. That's like the first step. So why is that the first step instead of going to the code directly? Because you want to understand what the problem is. You want to understand what the problem is and what solution you're doing. So that is very important. So whenever you approach a problem, think of what the solution could be before thinking of code or how you can put it in syntax, or if I should use int here or void here. That is not important first. The important thing is if you're able to understand it. So whenever you learn an algorithm, so I think in third year or second year, so you have data structures and algorithm. So in that you learn something called Dijkstra's algorithm. So when you learn something like that, you should wonder, where will this be used? Why would we need this shortest path algorithm? So when you think more like that, you'll realize that, for routers or for port forwarding, Digict's algorithm might actually help. It will speed up the process. If that algorithm wasn't there, every time you open a website, it'll take you 5-6 seconds. So that is way longer. These days, it takes you 2 seconds with high-speed internet also. Actually, even less than 2 seconds. So such short path algorithms, are useful for this. So try to relate why each algorithm will be useful in a real life scenario, and you'll understand the importance of that. And then coding is something that helps you implement those algorithms. Coding is not the main thing. I see most of my juniors do this. They just go to Java classes, go to Python classes aimlessly. So I say them, just learn the logic behind it before going to those classes. If you learn the logic, syntax and everything will come along. That's okay. So even if you're in interview, for example, and you're missing on syntax in a code pair interview or something like that, try to tell the interviewer that I do not know the syntax, but I know the pseudocode, so I can tell you how to do it, and I'll explain you how I am going to approach the problem. That's what I did actually when I went into Yahoo. There was some glitch in my system, my NetBeans didn't work, and I was like very frustrated, and I couldn't code also. So I just told my interviewer saying, I know how to do this, and this is the way I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this first, and based on this output, I'm going to do this and all that. And I was still selected to the third round because the interviewer believed that I was able to do it if everything was good. So make sure that the logic is more important than any of these syntax. So yeah. Okay. So the next thing is importance of coding and getting placed in top companies in FANG or in any of these super dream or dream offers. Okay. So let's go one by one. The first thing is you have to know your fundamentals. Your fundamentals are like your guiding principles and everything of it, database management, OOPS, OOAD. So if you just see this list, it's pretty much your second and third year syllabus, I would think. So these are very important in interviews. You need to know what data structures are, what networks are, what OS and all that. So these are like fundamental things that make you a computer science engineer, right? So be very good in all that. But one thing that I would advise is make 2 to 3 things as your strong suit. Okay, so you do not have to be strong in each of these. If you can, yeah, good. But if you can't, I would say choose like 3 or 4 items and learn that more than the others. And others just try the basics and say. So suppose if you want to choose OOPS and DBMS as your strong suit. Sorry. So if you want to choose OOPS and DBMS as your strong suit, what you should do is you should learn all these, like initially give a trial run of all these, and after you just skim through this, then see top 50 questions in data structures, top 100 questions in data structures, and learn those. You don't need to deep dive into all this. But for DBMS and OOPS, since this is like your area of strength, you should know what are. You should know how a query executes. So every question they ask in DBMS, how an ER diagram is, how the design happens, all these things, you should be very, very clear. And for OOPS, if they ask you where this object-oriented concept will apply, or if they just take a bottle in front of you and they say do an object-oriented analysis for this water bottle. So if they ask you those questions also, you should be very well versed to answer. So when I was in Zoho, what that interviewer did was he took a paper, he wrote all these things down, DBMS, OOPS, OAD, and he passed it to me and he said, tick 3 of these. So he gave me an option. He said, I'll ask only 3 of these topics. You can choose that. So I ticked 3 of this, and I think one of those was networks. So he was asking me about how the DNS system works. And one was about operating system. So he was asking me about how cache management works and all that. So when you have the choice, you should know which you're strong at and which you're weak at. So make sure that you know that before you enter your interview. Yeah, so this is knowing your fundamentals. So the whole slide is in this format. First, I'll tell you what you have to do, and second is how do you do it. So how do you actually know your fundamentals? There is so much online resources. It's unbelievable. There's like a lot of things online. So my favorite one is Geeks for Geeks. I'm pretty sure this is very famous, and a lot of you are already aware of how Geeks for Geeks is. So maybe I can just quickly show you. So this is like how the whole website looks like, and there are a lot of topics. Like I said, there's data structures, there's algorithms, and if you want DBMS also, you can search for database management here, and then you get a lot of related things, introduction to DBMS and everything. So Geeks for Geeks has so much resources that you can use. So try to utilize this as much as possible. Okay, I'll go back here. So if you're not aware of this, I've linked this here, and you can always I'll send the slide or the PDF, and you can always try to get it from here. So yeah, just see whatever online resources suit you and learn your fundamentals from that. And second one is cheat sheet. So cheat sheets are like, when you're 1 week before the final interview or 1 week before your placement start, and like you have learned a lot of things, you have learned all these topics that I told earlier, but now you want like a quick like a revision kind of a thing. So that's when cheat sheets come handy. So I'll just show you this very nice one. So this is for object oriented program, and this is something I found on the internet. So look at this person. So he has created a cheat sheet for OOPS concept, and he has given a resource overview and pillars of OOPS and some extra items. So when I click on pillars of OOPS, it tells me all the important keywords. What is a static keyword? What's a virtual? What abstract? And all this. So this, when I look at this, I can revise what these things mean. And then there's features of OOPS. What is polymorphism? What is inheritance and all? When you click on polymorphism, what are the things inside it? What's a virtual function? What's a pure virtual function and all that? When you click on inheritance, all the questions that are asked in inheritance. So these are like cheat sheets that you should look at 3 or 4 days before, and you just look at all these questions once again, and you can answer it. So there are some links attached to each of this that you can see also. So such things are very useful. There's a lot of ML cheat sheets. For every topic that I told, there's a lot of cheat sheets. This is just one example. Okay. So like I said, cheat sheets on the final week. Yeah, and I know a lot of you aren't into books, but when I was 2 years back, I really love to read things from books. So I still get books instead of PDFs. So if you are interested, there is a lot of Narasimha Karumanchi books. So this person is from Amazon, and he has written 2 great books, Data Structures and Algorithms Made Easy and Coding Interview Questions. Both of these are little high level, but they're still good. They talk about so much information. So you can buy these, or you can get online free versions of PDF also if you're interested. But yeah, if you're not that much interested in books, I would still say these 2 resources are really good enough. Yeah, and the last thing is, I think it was for me also when I was in college. So paying extra attention to those classes might actually help you. So I remember in one interview, there was some question about Unix, and one of the things my teacher said just kind of popped in, and it's like, oh, my ma'am said this, and I answered that. So maybe a little extra attention on all those classes would really help. I would still say pay attention to everything, but still make sure that when those things come, when those exams come, you take your effort and study for those. It will help you in your interview. So now the first part is over. After you know your fundamentals, you're like a little good in computer science, and you know your guiding principles. The second thing is aptitude. So aptitude is like your first level screening. And this is like very important. Just think of this as your 12th mark or something that made you enter your college, like how important that was. So your aptitude score is what like determines you and what judges you before you go into the next this. So be very well prepared for this. I think one of the common mistakes a lot of people make is they save apti for the last. They say last 2 months I'll begin apti. Now I'll concentrate on technical. But that never works. Apti is like an ongoing process. You never start apti and finish apti within a week. You can never do that. So because there's a lot of topics that you have to cover, and you have to do it every day. It should be like I'll spend 20 minutes today for apti, just 20 minutes. If you start spending from your third year or your final year also, even that is good. You will gain a lot of knowledge because there's a lot of topics that you have to cover in quantitative aptitude at least. So every day when you start learning and every day when you start revising it, it's very useful for you. So there are 2 types of aptitude. One is technical and one is quantitative aptitude. And quantitative aptitude might also have logical reasoning, verbal ability, and all those questions also. So make sure that you see what comes under this, what comes under verbal ability. So technical aptitude. So technical aptitude will mostly test on the fundamentals that I said previously. But apart from that, it will ask you, coding questions with multiple choice. So what happens if this for loop has I is equal to 1? If I is equal to -1, then what is the output? So output of while and for loops also happens. And at least in Zoho, so much of tech apti is given more importance than quanti. So actually, I missed my first point. The first point was you have to research for this company how much of aptitude they ask. And Geeks for Geeks is a good resource for that also. You need to know company-wise how many questions they ask for tech and how many questions they ask for quanti. So in Zoho, it was like a more of a 80-20, 80 for tech and 20 for quanti. So it differs from company to company. So make sure that you know that before entering it. But regardless, whichever company might come and go, you should be very, very well prepared for aptitude. So yeah, another thing is, what would you change to get 20 as the output? What would you change to get 200 as the output? So they'll try to test you on that basis. And then there is like a compiler error questions, like, will this give you a will this give you a compiler error, or will this compile successfully, or will this give a runtime error? So all those things also you need to know. And then, yeah, like I said, your fundamentals, they'll ask you questions about DBMS, your subqueries, and all those also. So be very good in your fundamentals. Yeah, so now the technical aptitude is out. Quantitative aptitude is, it is a very diverse set of things. You have to create a checklist. Okay, so what for quantitative, what is a checklist? For logical reasoning, what's my checklist? For verbal ability, what I have to finish? So it's like a to-do list kind of a thing. I have an example I'll show you. And flashcards. So flashcard is, I got this from my sister. So when she was preparing for her interview, she had ordered a couple of flashcards, and in those, each of these cards, she wrote formulas for boat and streams. What is the formula for pipes and cisterns? What is the formula? So when you see that every day, you kind of, you automatically remember it. So that's very useful. So try to just create a bunch of cards or just A4 sheets and stick it to a cardboard and keep it in your place. So every day morning when you wake up, you remember the formula. It's very similar to how we studied maths in school. So just make sure that you remind yourself of how it happens every once in a while. So that's good. And consistency. Like I said, this is like an ongoing process. Every day you need to practice your aptitude and you'll really get good at it. So like I said, how do you ace this round? So the big secret is to spend time and effort, learn every day, revise the learning every week, and create checklists, to-dos, use all these fancy props, use sticky notes, flashcards, write it down in a piece of paper, do whatever you can, fill your whole room with sticky notes also if possible, and try to remember what you learned. And peer-based learning is also important. I think one week before our interview, we started asking each other aptitude questions every time we went to lunch or something. So that was very useful for us. We kind of started thinking, oh, how do I solve this problem? How do I solve the other problem during lunch itself in hostel? So that was very useful. So call up your friends, just when you're talking, just think of this at the end, like spend 2 minutes and then just cut the call or something like that. So try peer-based learning. And stick to your formulas, and there's a lot of online mathematic hacks. So how can you do equations faster? So if you're interested in that, that's also helpful. Yeah, like I said, continue learning every day. Yeah, so these are some aptitude resources, and I got it from my sister. So I'm thinking this might be up to date also, because when I was studying, I just studied from Geeks and Geeks. But IndiaBix is also a good platform, and R.S. Agarwal is the big, huge book that you have for quanti and logical reasoning. So there's a lot of online versions of this. You can easily get R.S. Agarwal books, so you can download it online. So these are some resources that I've linked. So everything is here. Yeah, so this is the checklist I was talking about. So for everything, for quantitative, just create, I've just created a sample checklist. So every time you finish something, tick it, or you can just print this out or write it in a piece of paper. And, when you finish this, then just cross it over. And before the interview, see if you know each of this. So this is just for quantitative. So like I said, for logical, where is it? Like I said, for logical reasoning and verbal ability, you need to create a checklist for yourself. I'm just giving a sample attached here. You can see a lot of information online itself on what topics will come here. So these are like basic things that you need to know for a quantitative aptitude. Okay, so now we have covered your fundamentals and your aptitude. So now the big thing. So the king of all rounds is the coding round. So yeah, so just remember that you can never learn every coding question. You can't be fully prepared for the coding round at all. It's not like if you solve 100 problems, then you're like fully done. So that doesn't matter. What it matters is without seeing the solution, are you able to think of how you solve the problem? So one mistake that I made when I was starting out is I used to try a coding question and then I used to not get it and used to see the answer and I used to move on. So in my very first interview, I was blank when a new coding question came in my head. I was like, okay, this pattern I haven't seen before, and I couldn't think straight during my mock interview and all that. So what I started doing was, even though I do not know the answer, I started thinking how the answer could be, and I made myself, analyze the question more instead of jumping directly to the answer. So that is the main part. You can learn 100 answers to 100 coding questions, but still, if a new question comes, it will be hard for you. So do not do that. Do not just see the answers. Train yourself. Train your brain to analyze and figure out the logic by solving those questions. So even if you solve 30 questions, but the 30 questions you thought enough, and you put your mind, put your time, and you figured it out, then when the actual round happens, your brain will automatically start thinking of new ideas from your this. So do not just by heart the answers and say, okay, for if this pattern comes, then I do this follow. Do not train like that. Try to think, try to analyze the answer, try to do a lot of trial and errors, write in a piece of paper, trace the equation, do all that. So that will help you more. So that's why I said here, you have to train yourself to analyze and figure out the logic. And that is very important. When you train your brain will start thinking for itself in the actual round. So yeah, do not just look at the answers. Try to figure it out by yourself. Even if it takes 1 day, 2 days also, it's fine. Try to think of it. So your mantra should be, the more you solve, the better you think. Yeah, but the more you should solve, not look the answers for. You have to solve it by yourself. So try to remember this and ace your coding interview. Yeah, I think this is just a reminder of my previous slide. Your logic is very important, more greater than your language syntax. So even if you're stuck because of a language error or syntax issue, write the pseudocode in a piece of an A4 sheet paper. Have the confidence, go to the interviewer and tell that I have some issues with the language, but I wrote the pseudocode down. Can you have a look at it? I do not do this at the first starting round itself. Just try it for some time, and if you're not able to figure out what the compiler issue is, or if there's a runtime error but your pseudocode is still right but you're not able to figure it out, just go and tell him that my approach was right, but there is some syntax issue, I'm not able to figure it out, but please have a look at this and let me know. So towards the end, if you're not able to figure anything out, try to do that. Yeah. So I would say also carry your resume with you, because it's very important. In both of my interviews I think in 3 of my interviews with Appco, Yahoo and Zoho, I carried my resume with me, and my resume was looked at the interview every 3 times. So what I did was, when I was in the coding round, I placed my resume to my left hand side and I was reading. And so every time the interviewer passed by, he saw my resume and he had a look at it. So make sure that you show that you're good at it, and your resume is also with you, if possible, if they allow it in the coding round. So I think now with virtual stuff, it's kind of hard. But still make sure that you have a good resume that the recruiter can review. Yeah, and start slow and develop along the way. So one thing that I would say it's very useful is taking these coding challenges. HackerRank has 30 days of code. I think I have it in the next slide. Yeah, so HackerRank has 30 days of code challenge. The first challenge is Hello World. So it is very, very simple. So they just want to do little by little. The second challenge is addition and multiplication, or something like that. So try doing those. It kind of increases in complexity in the 29th or 30th day. See if it's still available and try to do this challenge. This will be very useful for you. It will introduce you to the HackerRank platform. So in these platforms, there is something called test cases. So they will try to, so when you have addition, for example, if you give inputs like 2 and 5 and it becomes 7. So what they do is they have a bunch of test cases, and each of these test cases will have multiple inputs. And these inputs will not just be straightforward. It will be negative numbers. It will be square root of something. It might be decimal numbers. And your code should be able to give the proper answer for any of these inputs. So each of these inputs are called test cases. If there's like 2 and root 2's value as an input, your code should be able to add that and give a proper output also. If there is a decimal input, it should take that also. If there is 0 or negative numbers, it should take that also. So that is how your code should be. Whatever inputs is given, your code should pass all the test cases. So that is what a test case is. Now, one thing to note is when you're in HackerRank or when you are coding, you'll know what the test case inputs are. So you'll know that it is -1 and -2, but your answer is not coming properly because there is some issue. So you know how to address your code to fix for that test case. But for the actual interview, all the test cases will be hidden. It will just say right or wrong. So you don't know for what input it failed. So your code might have failed for some, absurd input, and you have no idea. So make sure that you code in a way that you handle all the edge cases and everything is addressed. So I think the more you do hacker rank and the more you do interview bit and lead code, you'll kind of understand what test cases are and how to solve them. Yeah, just try to practice as much as you can. And I think, there is something offered by your college as well. So try to use those platforms also. Yeah, so that's it about test cases and hidden test cases. Yeah, so this is kind of very important actually. This is what this whole section is what separates you from another candidate. Your code should be very clean. So when you are in a company, you can't just put int a is equal to 0, a plus plus, because you'll do that, and after you leave the company, when the other developer comes in, they have no idea what a is. I'm sorry, is there a question? Okay. Yeah, so they have no idea what A is, right? So they kind of get confused. So it's very important for you to do clean code. So use camel case as much as possible. Read coding best practices. So what camel case means is, so when I say, okay, so int, basic integer or something like that. There are two words, basic and integer. So the B should be in small and I should be in capital. So it should be like basic and I should be in capital and integer. So just research about camel case in Google. There is lower and upper camel case. You have to see what you have to use for your code. So usually when you introduce variables into it, you usually use lower camel case. And when it's methods, you introduce upper camel case. So make sure that you introduce this, and do not use absurd method names. You shouldn't use just, a void subtract off or something. If it's a integer subtract, just say subtract underscore integers. If it's something different, just use, the underscores and camel cases to better define your methods. So remember doing this in your laboratories, and when you start doing this in your labs, you eventually start doing this in your coding interviews. So try to have clean code as much as possible. And read coding best practices. There is a lot of things online. Just read them before you start coding. And reduce clutter in your code. Don't declare variables here and there. Have all the declarations front. Have all the methods in one thing. Have the void main after that. Do not like mix everything. And when a interviewer actually sees that, he or she has no idea of what that means. So don't do that. Have very less clutter, and it should be very neat. So when I see your code, I should be able to understand what you are trying to do there. So that is important. And add comments. Comments are like very good for it's like brownie points. So when you add comments, you just have a method, say void print pattern or something like that, and you say prints a pattern with these many stars here. And if you have like 1 or 2 line kind of a comment, it's very useful for the interviewer to read that, and he or she will know that you've put an extra effort here. So just add comments when you do coding. So all these will make your existing logic even more better, and it will separate you from another candidate. So that is good. And yeah, last but not the least, practice as much as possible every day. And like I said, how aptitude is an ongoing process, so is coding. So do as much as practice as you can, and try to involve in your day-to-day class activities, even though labs might seem very tiring or something for you, but try to put some thought into it. Try to develop interest, and then the labs will seem more interesting. So try to do something like that. So yeah, this is about the coding round. Yeah, so now that coding and those aptitude and your fundamentals, all those are done, the next thing is your HR interview and your technical interview. So how do you ace your behavioral interview? Behavioral is pretty much HR interview. So this is a very common question every recruiter asks, right? They say, tell me about yourself. And you shouldn't not be prepared for this. You should always have an answer for tell me about yourself in a proper framework. Like, I am so and so from this college. I have done so and so projects, and then say some good thing about yourself. Because I did this project, I got this award, or because I participated, I was a finalist. So add some 1 or 2 things that are good about yourself, and keep it within less than 1 or 2 minutes. So that's how your tell me about yourself should work, and have a proper framework for this. That is very important. And I would say write this down in a piece of paper, go to a mirror and practice it, because this is like your pitch. They kind of judge you based on how you answer this. So be very prepared for this. And next question is, why do you want to work here? So this kind of sees this question is to know if you're passionate about the company. So if you're interviewing, for example, Facebook, for example. So if they ask you, why do you want to work at Facebook, or what product do you like at Facebook, or what feature do you like at Facebook, you should know, you should research that company enough. Or if you're working at TCS, or if the TCS interview asks, why do you want to join TCS, you should have a solid answer. This answer could either be, emotionally driven, saying that, TCS supports government systems that helps rural people be more educated, for example. So then you can say that, I come from a background where I wasn't educated. My family struggled to, get us educated. So I want to be part of this movement. So that's why I want to join TCS. That's like emotionally driven answer. So another answer is you like TCS's upcoming systems, or they have new technology with IoT and you're interested in that. So you should have any solid answer for this on why you want to work for this company. So every time that one day before the company comes, research the company, see what they're up to, go to their blog, for example, see the new things that are happening, and have a good answer for this. Yeah. And next thing is, why should they hire you? So this you have to say about all your, this is pretty much the same. You have to tell your strengths and your weaknesses, and why you would be a good fit for the company. Yeah. And one thing I want to say here is, by weaknesses, do not say things like I work too hard and all that. That is like saying that it's a strength, but do not do that. That is very a flawed system right now. I do remember there was a time when everyone used to say, I work too hard. I do not, concentrate on home much, or I'm a workaholic. But yeah, those things aren't, weaknesses. It's just glorifying work. So don't say that. Have honest weaknesses. Like say that, I'm not as punctual, but I'm not on time usually, but I'm working on my punctuality. So whenever you say some weakness, just say that you're working on it by doing so and so. So that is very honest. That's what companies expect also, an honest answer. Do not cook up something that it's not true or something. So just speak from the heart and say a proper weakness, and say what you have done to improve it. So that is important. Strengths, you already know what you're strong at, just say those. And just have a situation here. For example, if you want to say that I'm good at leadership or qualities or something, so just say that I led an workshop or something with the CSEA association, and there was many issues. There were certificates weren't on time, so I tried to call this team and organize this, and I promptly did it within an hour. So you're saying that you did something, and you're giving an example of how you proved leadership and organizational qualities. So have a situation-based strength that supports you. So if you're saying you're good at organization, have something like organization leadership, have something like this. If you're good at management, if you're a team leader in a club within your college, say how you led the team or something like that. If you've organized such interviews, or if you've done MC or something, like how just other people, Varsha and others were doing, you can just say that I organized this interview and I gave a talk on this, so I'm good at MCing or something like that. So just always support every strength with some situation or some example that will give more power to it. Yeah. So another thing is there are situation-based questions that you have to answer, like what are the challenges you faced, and what things you took, what are your successes and failures. Have proper stories and proper examples for each of these as well. Yeah, and this is very important. Okay, so ask questions to the interviewer. So every time I see that the interviewers, even when I went as an interviewer, I asked some people like, do you have any questions for me? And when they do not ask any questions, that kind of is a point down for me. I want them to ask some questions, because I am giving them like 5 minutes of dedicated time with myself, and I'm telling that you can ask me anything about the company and I'll answer it. So do not miss on that opportunity. What questions you ask tells about yourself more than you think. If you're asking like what is a salary package or something, do not ask questions like that. It's better to stay silent than ask questions that can be easily Googled. Do not do that. So ask questions like, how does your day-to-day look like? Or what do you like most about working in Yahoo, or for something like that. And ask questions like, I recently read a blog here. I see that instead of using machine learning here, I see that you've used IoT. So why did you do this? So when you ask questions like those, they think that, okay, this person has researched about our company, they know a lot about our company, and they are asking us questions. So make sure that you have like 3 or 4 questions for the interviewer. That is always, good to have. So this is pretty much your behavioral interview. For technical interview, if you did all the previous steps that we discussed, aptitude, technical aptitude, fundamentals, coding, you're mostly ready for this. So this would just be a code pair interview. A code pair interview is when the interviewer is on the other side and they look as you code and they see how you're coding, they see how your thought process is and all that. So that's pretty much the coding interview. So you're almost ready here. I would say just use your cheat sheets and revise, and use past company experience. So Geeks for Geeks has these archives. So I'll just quickly share one thing. So this for Zoho, for example. So I just search for Zoho and I see that there's a lot of Zoho interview experience. So go through all these interview experiences so you'll know what the company is and what kind of questions they ask. So all these things you can do before 1 week before the company. So this is a good resource also. There's a lot of companies here. Even for Zoho, I did write one interview experience that is published in Geeks for Geeks. So do check out Geeks for Geeks archives. They have a lot of things and they easily publish articles that are submitted also. So yeah, ask follow-up questions if you want to understand the problem more clearly. So I think maybe a year back we were recruiting for Yahoo and CIT. And there was this one person, and she was very good. When we asked her a query to write in DBMS, she asked a lot of follow-up questions. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So she asked a lot of follow-up questions. She tried to, ask why do we want to solve this? Do we want to do it in a subquery? Is this okay and that okay? And she was very interested in solving the problem, and she was selected eventually. So I'm saying that make sure that you ask any questions if you want to understand the problem deeper, instead of just sticking to what the interviewer said first. And there are sometimes the interviewer gives you hints on how to solve it. So take those hints and try to think. So yeah, that is also very important. They try to make you see if you can reach that answer. So try to do that. And be humble even if you don't know the answer. So even if you don't know, just say, I'm not sure about this, but I'll still research about it. Yeah, be very humble. Do not just say, I don't know, so I won't answer or something. Do not throw an attitude. So be very, very humble when you even do not know the answer. So yeah, so now that you're almost prepared for all the interviews and all that, this is the final thing that I wanted to say is how you can prepare your resume. So always remember, fit it in one page and that's it. If you're from college, you can fit anything in one page, even though it drags and all that. Do not add unnecessary details. Do not add details about things you got in 2nd standard or 3rd standard. I used to do that, so do not do that. Fit everything in a single pager. And there's a game that you can play. So if you look at like a 2 or 3 page resume, look at each point and just think to yourself, do I really need this in my resume? Is this really that important? And remember, qualitative work is better than quantitative. So you do not need like 10 things to tell that you're a good candidate. Even if you have 2 or 3 items, those are enough as long as they are good work. So do not add a lot of unnecessary stuff in your resume. And talk about your extracurricular activities also. A lot of companies are looking at CSR, that is corporate social responsibility. So they want you to be organizing, events and have diversity and inclusion and talk about topics like mental health and all that. So that is very valued in certain companies. So if you're doing those things in college, if you're volunteered, if you're part of NSS, if you're part of, there's a lot of Go Green teams in colleges. So if you're part of any of that and if you've contributed in any way, add that in your resume. That is equally important as your curricular things. And yeah, and look for online professional templates and use those. Do not use too many colors. Very minimal colors and designs is more classic. Do not put too many stars and too many blue, yellow things. Don't do all that. Just have black and white, or just stick to one color theme. That is important. And this is something called a resume scorer. So here, this is free actually. You can upload your resume and they'll tell you what is the score out of 100. So, okay. It's asking me to do that, but yeah, so they will kind of tell you what the score is. Let me go back. Yeah, so that tells you what words to use extra, how you can improve your resume. So it's free. Try to do that with your current resume and make the changes and showcase your achievements in numbers. Yeah, this is important. So suppose if you did an Android app development workshop, for example, so you can say that spearheaded a 1-day technical workshop and Android app development with a turnaround of 100 plus students. So you're telling this achievement in a number that will be that will catch the eye of the recruiter. So try to use numbers as much as possible in your resume, and give the recruiter a way to know more about all this. So since you're reducing it to one page, if they want to know more about a project that you did, have a GitHub link or a personal portfolio or a blog. So there's a lot of free things that you can do. I have a personal portfolio on GitHub. It's free also. So you can create something for yourself and add more details there instead of in the resume, and link that GitHub link or your portfolio in the resume. That will be useful. So yeah, this is about resume preparation. And just before the big day, I just added some things that you can do. Use your cheat sheets. Know your resume from top to bottom. So anything that you add on your resume, you should know it. So if you just add React.js and you don't look at the life cycle or something, that is not good. So just whenever you do something, learn it totally. Otherwise, do not add it in your resume if you do not know that. So that is important. And look at interview archives, like I showed you for Zoho right now. And learn the rounds. So this is a part of interview archives. You know how many rounds are there, how many technical rounds are there, how many HR rounds are there, how many is there aptitude or not. So everything is in interview archives. Learn the rounds and check out interview videos. I recently saw there's a lot in YouTube itself, and LinkedIn also has a lot of interview content. You can just put hashtag TCS interview or hashtag Cognizant interview and see those hashtags and see the interview experiences on LinkedIn also. That's useful. And know your company. Like I said, research your company, see what they're doing before you enter the any interview, so that when you go then you can like impress them with all that knowledge that you have learned before. This is prepping for that big day. Yeah, so my interview experience, I said like I'll share this doc, right? So Zoho and Yahoo is here. Yahoo isn't uploaded anywhere, so it's in my drive and I've shared the link. You can still view it. And Zoho, I've added all the rounds, so you can view it in your free time. So I'm just in the interest of time, I do not want to go deep into this. So this is an interviewee. My experiences as an interviewer, I found myself, searching for communication, if they have the passion to learn more, and how they attempt to solve these questions. So like I said in my example, I want to see what follow-up questions they ask. How are they trying to solve it? What direction are they thinking? So even if you are scared or something, just ask for more details to the interviewer. They'll be very sweet and pleasant most of the time. So just try to ask as much as possible, understand the question, and then answer the question. So yeah, as an interviewer, I was seeing like how that girl or how that guy tries to solve these questions and how they're framing the answer. So after finishing, how do they justify why they used this method or why they did this? You have to explain your answer. You can't just write it in a piece of paper and pass it. This is not like a movie or something. So you have to, after you write it down, tell the interviewer like why you did this, how you did this, and what your thought process was. So speak out loud. So that would be very useful. And we saw the attitude also, how they're behaving towards this, because in a lot of companies, this is very, very, very important. So you have to be in the right attitude. You have to dress appropriately. The way you knock the door to the way you have a good handshake and sit down and the way you smile is all very important. So don't be grumpy and moody when you enter an interview. Be very happy, be very pleasant, and very positive regardless. Yeah. And if there is any good or bad feedback, take it in a good way. Do not try to tell back the interviewer that no, you are wrong, I was right. Do not do that. Have a good attitude throughout the whole experience. Yeah, so this was my thing. So now you're ready to ace your interview. So that's all the thing that I had for how you can bag these dream offers. So the final step is how you can increase your social media presence and how you can social network. So these are the final 2 topics. So 80% done with our day, but let's go to the 20% more. So for social networking, building a network is very important. Why? It helps you advance your career. After you are in the industry, you have to build a lot of networks so that you can move into better companies. So it will give you new job opportunities and your first preference. So if I know someone from Myntra, for example, and if I know someone very well, I've talked to that person and I've connected with that person, the next time there's a job opening at Myntra, she'll call me first because she knows that I'm looking for a job or something like that. So the first preference is given to the known connections. So try to know as many people as you can. And if they are not able to help you, they'll redirect you to other connections. So those people might help you out. Very similar to how mutual friends work on Facebook. So those connections of connections can help you out. So have a proper LinkedIn profile and all that. So that is very important for this. So where can you build professional connections? LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best resource, in my opinion. You can build a lot of professional connections there. Conferences and meetups. So when I said the Google I/O developer events or the DevOps conference, you don't need to be like a brainiac or very nerdy or geeky to attend these conferences. You can simply attend, see what the stalls are, what they are talking, attend some events and come back. Even then you'll make a lot of connections and you get a lot of phone numbers, a lot of visiting cards and all that. So get those things, go to these events as when things open up. Now there are a lot of online things. So try to, research. There's a meetup.com. So there's a lot of free meetups there. So try to see if anything suits your interest. That is useful. And then workshops and events like these. So today, since you are in this workshop, if you are listening to me, so you can come, connect with me on LinkedIn. So things like these also will help you, and maybe I can help you in the future to get into some company if I think you're a good candidate. So those are also important. So another strong no is, do not, even if you find the same person on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter, do not go and ping them there. That is not the place. They want their social life, they want their personal life and work life separate. So do not ping them on WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram, even if they find their number somewhere. So this is very strong no. You can do only on these three things probably. And even I wouldn't say Twitter is a good thing, because some people use Twitter for professional reasons and some people use for personal reasons. The best bet is always LinkedIn. And also remember, maintain your networks. Don't just contact them, have a meet or chat with them and forget them. Try to talk with them frequently, like ask them what is the latest thing that's happened in Myntra. So I saw this new feature was developed, I really liked it. Try to have some conversations with them, so that you're still interested in networking with them. So that is also important. So how do you network and find jobs on LinkedIn? So you have to keep your profile very updated and neat. So add an image, have past work experience. So I know that you guys are all new joinees, but when you do internships and all that, put that also down. If you're a campus ambassador for Google, if you're a campus ambassador for Mozilla, or if you did attend some event or something. So put everything in your LinkedIn profile, add the certifications and a very short about section. And there is a personalized invite thing. So I'll just show you how this works, so you can take advantage of that also. And this is the first question anyone asks when you try to meet a stranger on LinkedIn. They ask, how can they help you? So have questions ready on how they can help you, and then ask their preference, if they want to meet in a Google Meet or if they want to chat. So I know all these things might be new to a college student, but it's very good to learn this at this point in time. I learned it maybe right 6 months or a year back, but it's always good to know how to improve your LinkedIn and how to network more. I see a lot of students do this these days, so I thought this would be a very appropriate thing to tell here also. So I'll give you, so how do I search jobs on LinkedIn? I'll give you some pointers on that. So one thing is, use job filters. In job filters, there is something called past college. So when you click on past college and you click on PSNA, for example, you'll find connections from PSNA who are working in Microsoft, TCS, Facebook, and a lot of other companies. So you can connect with them first, because it will be very easy to connect with your alumni, right? So even if they're like 10 years or 5 years elder than you, you can just say, hi, I'm from PSNA 2022 batch or something like that, and tell them, I've been doing this and I saw your profile. It looks very interesting. Can you tell me how you started from PSNA, how you started here and went to Microsoft? So everyone likes to connect with people who are from the same college. They have that bond, right? So if you have a lot of people, if I'm from GCT and I tell them, I'm from GCT, they kind of say, oh, it's so nice to hear. I really loved when my time in GCT and it was best. So when they really like their college, they like people reaching out from the colleges. So try to reach out from people from PSNA or from your college first. They'll be more open and more friendly to helping you also. And there's something called open to work badge in LinkedIn. I'm pretty sure you guys must have seen. So you can add a badge if you want to search jobs there, and it'll help you find a lot of jobs. And if someone is hiring, there's a hiring badge. So find people who are giving that badge and see their LinkedIn post that they're hiring for their company. That is very useful. And you put the open to work badge until you get a company. Sorry. Yeah. So this is optional thing. I would suggest building an online presence. Okay, so writing posts, doing challenges in LinkedIn, that also helps you do that. But still, this is optional in my opinion. But you can still try to do coding challenges. Or there is something called, I recently saw, because I'm a PM, I saw 100 days of product challenge. So that means for 100 days you have to post every day something on LinkedIn on what you learned in product management. So it's very similar to a Snapchat streak, maybe. So you're maintaining that 100-day streak, and you're after 100 days, you're like successfully done it. So those challenges are also useful. Like, see if there is something for software development, then that will be really useful. And yeah, follow tags that apply to the role you need. So in LinkedIn, just put a hashtag software developer jobs. You'll see so many people posting things every day for new recruitment and hiring. So just follow these hashtags regularly. So I'll just take you through a quick example. The last thing. So this is Ryan Roslansky's LinkedIn page. So he is the CEO of LinkedIn. So I'm just taking his example. Yeah, because he would have used as many features in LinkedIn as possible because he's a CEO. So just look at this. He has a very short heading, and he has a thing on how to pronounce his name. And he has a short video also on what he has.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan, and I'm fortunate to be in my dream.
Yeah, so he has a short intro video, so you can see that later. So if you look at this, he has some posts and he has put it in featured. So if you're not someone who posts on LinkedIn, yeah, just ignore this. And yeah, this is his activity section. Yeah, all these are something that LinkedIn creates. This is where the real magic is. Okay, so he gives a very short about section, what he is doing. So write this on your profile also. And then there is his experience. And in each of his experience, he has like, what did he do as part of that? So as a senior, sorry. Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan.
So as a senior vice president, what did he do? As a chief executive officer, as a CEO, what he has been doing. And in GoDaddy, what he did. And in, yeah, so he has like a short thing on anyone here. Oh, he has worked in Yahoo also. So yeah, so he has a lot of details on each thing that he has worked at. And then there is licenses and certifications. So what he has done in LinkedIn, and these are things that you can do in Lynda. Yeah, Lynda is called LinkedIn Learning now. So you can just do some courses, and the badge automatically comes here. So this is very useful, and you can add license and certifications also. That is also equally useful. And then yeah, if you have done something related to DBMS or something, you can add that. You can say that you're strong at database management systems, and maybe you can ask your professor or someone who worked with you on that initiative to endorse you, so that they know that you're good at this. So this is also very useful. And these are recommendations and all that. I think this will happen when you get into an industry. People give recommendations on how you have been, and he can also give recommendations to other people. So that comes under this section. Yeah. And this is another section where you can, talk about your projects, what things you have done, yeah, and your languages. If you have done any DBMS projects, if you have done any OS related projects, or whatever, final year, if you have done anything on neural networks, or whatever you have done in your whole college, write it under the accomplishment section. So for you, at least, I would say as a student, you have to concentrate on this section, accomplishments, and the license and certifications, post whatever you have, and this one. So in your experience, whatever you have been doing in college as an intern, if you're an upcoming intern, or if you have done multiple internships, if you've been an ambassador for anything, just add all that experience here. That's very important. So this was just an example of his thing. There's a lot of other profiles. I've linked his profile here. You can maybe take a look later when you're free. So yeah, I think that was pretty much what I had for the day. So thank you for listening throughout. And this is my email address. Just feel free to mail me if you want to say anything. And this is my GitHub link. So this is what I was telling you earlier. This is very easy to create, and this is free. I'm not paying any charges for this. I created this, I think, in my 3rd year before my placement, and this is very useful. I had an about section, what projects that I had. I uploaded everything to GitHub, even the small Java programs, everything is in GitHub. So I was like, everything I have to upload it somewhere, so everything was there. And I wrote some articles, so I linked those here also. So yeah, so you can create some website like this for yourself, and you can add more details. And yeah, I think I've linked my LinkedIn also as well. So yeah, I think one thing that I wanted to tell also was about the personalized invite. So when you connect with someone, when you click on this button, connect, there is a personal note that you can add. So you can say, hi, Ryan, I'm Nandini and I want to connect with you for so and so reasons. So when you contact your seniors or someone, you can say, hi, I'm just taking name. I'm okay. Since you can say I'm Syed and I'm from PSNA, this batch, and I wanted to contact with you because I wanted to learn more about your journey or something. So when they get an invite, they get this message also. So when they read that message, there are more chances that they might accept your invite if they already, if you're from the same college, if they know you somewhere. So try to include an invite to every connection. You'll have a lot of connections. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Welcome.
Varsha, if there are no questions, can you play that video for just a minute?
Yes, sir, I'll play, sir.
Yes, yes.
Since it's Engineers Day today, we have a small video to present. I call upon Amala Monica from second year CSE to present it. Handing over to Amala.
Yeah, yes, yes. Whether my screen is visible now?
Yes,
Varsha?
Amala, your turn is visible there. Thank you, Amala Monica. And thank you, ma'am, for your patience in answering all our questions. I would like to hear feedback from our participants. Can anyone come forward to give you valuable feedback?
Varsha, before that, you just share the appreciation certificate, Varsha.
Yes, I will share it, sir.
Ma'am, I'm not sure whether our HOD ma'am is available in the meeting because madam has gone to some principal's meeting. Madam, are you there
Okay,
in
sir.
line? I think madam is not available. Anyway, you share, Varsha. You share the certificate, Varsha.
Yes, sir, I'll share it, sir.
Yes, yes. And Nandini, due to this pandemic scenario, we are not able to invite you like physically to the campus. So you are getting the session virtually, so that we are also, as a token of love and appreciation, we are presenting this e-appreciation certificate to you on behalf of
Oh,
PSNA CET and Department of Computer Science and Engineering. So we will share the certificate to your mail ID, Nandini. Okay. So
yeah.
thank you,
Thanks a lot,
Nandini.
sir. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your valuable information with our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for doing this. It's very sweet.
Thank you. Thank you. So now students, you can give your feedbacks about the webinar. Varsha, in the meanwhile, you can share the link also in the
Yes,
chat
sir.
box, feedback
Yes,
link.
I'll share it, sir.
Yes, yes. Students, if you want to give any oral feedback, you can give it during this Google Meet. You are most welcome to give the feedback.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Jay Gugan from CSEB, ma'am. The session was really useful and helpful for us, ma'am. Your presentation covered everything, ma'am, starting from your experience till social networking. Everything was very useful and informative for us, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Jay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Students, your feedback link is posted in the chat box. This is not only for the feedback. Your morning 2 sessions attendance also, this entry is mandatory. So you give your feedback. Based on the feedback, you will get the attendance. So please note down the feedback link and give the feedback. Any other feedback from the student side? Third years or final years, any feedback? Especially I am expecting the feedback from final years, because for the final years, those who are in the meet, this session will be very useful. 2022 batch, you can give your feedback. Okay. So if there
Sir,
are
can
no
I
further
proceed, sir?
feedbacks, yes, Varsha, you can proceed.
I immensely share my love and gratitude on behalf of our students and department towards our resource person for her time and patience in sharing her knowledge. I feel grateful to be a part in this webinar. It's my privilege in hosting this entire session. Finally, to express the gratitude, I call upon Ms. Gopika from second year CSE department to deliver vote of thanks. Handing over to Gopika.
Good morning, one and all present here. I am Gopika from CSEB. On behalf of my CSE department, I respectfully thank our chairperson, Mrs. Dhanalakshmi, for giving this opportunity. Thank you, ma'am. I cordially thank our pro-chairman, Mr. R.S.K. Raghuram. Thank you, sir. I convey my wholehearted thanks to our principal, Dr. D. Vasudevan, sir. Thank you, sir. I show my fullest and sincere gratitude to our honorable chief guest, resource person, and a prideful daughter of our HOD, Ms. Nandini Saravanan, the product manager of Yahoo, who spared time from her busiest schedule to grace the occasion. Your thoughts enlightened our mind. Thank you, ma'am. A special mention to our respected HOD, ma'am, Dr. D. Shanti, for being a catalyst that stimulated us to do our best and standing as pillars of strength. Thank you, ma'am. I am immensely thankful to our coordinator, Dr. R. Karthikeyan, for his efforts towards this webinar. Thank you, sir. An event like this cannot happen this perfect without our ever charming team. It requires planning and a bird's eye for details. I thank Varsha, Syed, Harni, Amala Monica, and other exacting team members. Finally, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all the staff members and proactive students for their enormous cooperation. Happy Engineers Day. Thank you one and all for patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, team, for your nice hosting. Nandini, thank you very much for your joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. See you.
Thank
Bye.
you. See you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you, students, for your patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.